And then I asked them one other thing. I said, look around the room and find an agency you've never worked with and find a way to work with them to do that. It's not enough for everybody to work in their silo. Find a partner you've never worked with before. So the National Cancer Institute worked with NASA. The Patent Office is working with the VA. The Department of Energy's computers are being used to analyze VA medical records. The National Endowment for the Arts is working with the NCI on issues around survivorship. So we put together a new brain around what it means to help people who are going through the cancer journey. And I'm proud to say that because of the groups like yours, because of the summit we had in June, because of the dedication of many of the people you saw in this video, that we were able to put together not recommendations, but actual facts on the ground of programs that people have started that will continue throughout the next year and for future years that are based on those principles of how we help people in that journey and how we help them better, bigger, and faster. The Moonshot is not a program office at the White House. It is a movement. Let me repeat that. No matter who's president, the Cancer Moonshot is not defined by being an office in the White House. It is a movement. It is a movement you started. It is a movement that thousands of people and hundreds of organizations have joined. They are not stopping if there's not a mailbox at the White House that says Cancer Moonshot on it. So if there's any one thing that you leave here with today, I want you to know that the people that have been touched by what you do and the people we've reached out to are still reaching out to us every day. How can we help? What can our organization do? What can our company do? What can our shareholders do? What can our university do? What can our hospital do? None of them is asking, is this still going to be in the White House? They're asking, how do we move this forward in our own way, and how can we help Joe Biden? Because as Doug Lowy said in the video, Vice President Biden announced a long time ago that this was going to be his life's work, and that when he leaves office, he will continue to convene, to cajole, to persuade, and to lead the cancer community to address the issues you are too familiar with. The absolute diaspora of data that makes it so difficult to understand what's going on, not just in research, but in doctors' offices every day. The lack of sharing with government-funded researchers, the lack of sharing about clinical trial outcomes, especially failures, the proprietary nature of journals that hold information tightly for a year while other people wonder what happened in the deep level in these studies and clinical trials. The theory that all of cancer progress is based on individual achievement, usually by, pardon my French, old white men in laboratories who get most of the grants, when in fact most of the progress we're going to make going forward will be team science across universities, across cancer centers, across patient foundations, where people work together and share information. And the key person in all of that, what Ellen Siegel calls the North Star, is you, the patient. The patient has all the data that matters. They have their family history. They have their lifestyle. They have their genetics. They have their diagnosis. They have their response to treatment. And yet we make it almost impossible for patients to share that data, even with their own hospital system, much less anybody else. And what's worse is we hardly ever give the patients all of that data in a readable, usable way. That is unacceptable. If your bank would not let you see your statement every month, you'd probably want to change banks. But in healthcare, where would you go? Well, this is the kind of issue that Vice President Biden will continue to work on in office and out of office. And in fact, we have 3 more events that we're going to have before we leave office. We're not stopping until January 20th. We're doing a meeting with active duty soldiers who have contracted cancer while on active duty, and first responders who have become cancer patients from exposure to environmental hazards. We're doing a meeting with the electronic medical record industry to ask them why what I just said is still a reality in 2016, and what they're going to do about it now. Not 5 years from now, but now. We would never accept this level of dysfunction in our financial system. So why do we value our financial situation more than we value our health? And third, we'll have a meeting with the pharma industry, the insurance industry, the pharmacy benefit managers, all the people who translate innovation into the copay that a patient either can pay or can't pay at the end of a long chain of people who touch those drugs, to ask them, what are we going to do so that each of you reduces the cost of the drug as it goes through the system? It's not just the pharmaceutical company, any more than it's the gas station on the corner that sets the price. Many times when a pharmaceutical company raises the price, they don't get any more money. They raise the price because they have to pay a higher rebate to the pharmacy benefit manager to keep the drug on the formulary. And then the patient gets stuck with the higher copay for the best drugs and a lower copay for the less drugs. This is also unacceptable and irrational. That is not the way it's supposed to work. So we have a lot more to do before we leave.